Ladies and gentlemen, we have absolutely fantastic news. President Trump has selected his third Supreme Court justice, his third Supreme Court nominee, and she will be his third Supreme Court justice. Now, if by chance it's Barbara Lagoa tomorrow, that would be absolutely phenomenal. Barbara Lagoa is fantastic. And she's really fantastic, but it's being reported now, and I've been speaking about this for well over a year now, that Coney Barrett's going to be President Trump's third Supreme Court nominee. She will be confirmed before November 3rd. Trump selects Coney Barrett to fill Ginsburg's seat on the Supreme Court. New York Times, September 25th, 2020, the president's nomination of Judge Barrett, a favorite of conservatives, to replace Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg will kick off a furious and unprecedented scramble to confirm her in the Senate before Election Day. This is going to put the nail in the coffin of the Democratic Party. They're completely and utterly inept, incompetent, and Harry Reid, you need to thank Harry Reid, Democrats. Don't blame Jill Stein or Bernie Sanders voters. Don't blame the people you told to fall in line, who told you, who were very honest with you, who said we will not fall in line if you cheat, if you act in the most despicable manner. We will not fall in line. You knew that there would be at least 77,000 people in the country who wouldn't fall in line, who wouldn't go for your fear-mongering and scare tactics. Oh, you better just, deal with anything we do to you. And those people, like myself, many of those people have moved from Jill Stein to President Trump. President Trump, when you look at the Lincoln Project and the Democratic Party, Bush's neoconservatives and Bernie Sanders are now voting for the same political party or the same candidate, which will eventually be Hillary Clinton, because they're not going to go all the way with Biden. But that's a whole other story. I'll obsess over that later. This is fantastic. Trump selects Coney Barrett to fill Ginsburg's seat on the Supreme Court. When you mature with age, you become a little bit more conservative. I found this out. And especially when you get a death threat, like I did, you then embrace the Second Amendment because it empowers you. And it allows you to protect yourself. So when I went to the LAPD, the gentleman there, the officer there, said, look, you know what? We're going to file the report because I've seen the messages that you received from this deranged individual. But, you probably should protect yourself with the Second Amendment. And I did. And that has bolstered my appreciation for the Second Amendment. See, Democrats live in this fairy tale world, this fantasy world. Leo Szabo! H.A., you got to stop that malarkey ASAP. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you like my Raiders, Ushanka? But I want somebody who's going to protect the Second Amendment, because only Democrats would defund police. Only morally superior imbeciles like the Democratic Party and wonderful liberals everywhere would want to defund the police while at the same time erasing the Second Amendment. That makes no sense at all. How are you going to protect yourself, or who will protect you from violent crime? How does that make any sense? And this is while you see cities being dismantled and torn apart before our very eyes. But the president's nomination of Judge Barrett, and by the way, to my super chat, thank you very much. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding, so your support is greatly appreciated. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, gentlemen, as always. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you. But this is interesting. The president's nomination of Judge Barrett, a favorite of conservatives, will replace Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. To replace Justice Ruth Bader will kick off a furious and unprecedented scramble. No, it won't. Democrats are completely powerless. They did this to themselves. Harry Reid altered the rules. First of all, they cheated Bernie Sanders and lost the election. They outspent Trump 2-1. They spent 4 years trying to save face with an absurd, ludicrous Russian hacking Russia myth that tried to pin Trump as exposing Democratic corruption, which somehow was a Kremlin plot. And we learned the Steele dossier was actually viewed as a threat to national security, and they still utilized it, and he was compiled with help from Russian officials. It was the Democratic Party that conspired alongside intelligence officials and Russian officials. Only the Democratic Party could simultaneously work or utilize a dossier, which is a pile of nonsense, a compilation of garbage that was outsourced and then compiled by Russian sources, and then investigate Trump under the pretext of him working with Russian intelligence. And the Steele dossier is linked to Russian intelligence. So Madam Secretary not only created a myth that Trump worked with Russia, but she actually worked with Russia through the Steele dossier, which is totally like, the beauty of it from a nefarious and insidious point of view is it's amusing. It's amusing how insidious the whole thing is. We'll kick off a furious and unprecedented scramble. So Harry Reid could have kept the 60-vote supermajority to confirm judges, but he didn't. He didn't. Now it's only a 50-vote simple majority. Harry Reid paved the way for that. Harry Reid should be thanked. This is President Trump's third pick. We are now finding out every single day that corrupt FBI officials and intelligence officials and other agencies simply wanted Trump out. That's it. Like, it's in their text messages. If they're not saying, like Peter Strzok, we will stop Trump, they're literally admitting, hey, we don't have a case yet. Trump is right. They literally saying Trump is right. What's wrong with us? They got professional liability insurance as government employees. You do that. You should get professional liability if you own a company, but not if you work for the government. They're getting professional liability insurance because they know they're engaging in some kind of very bizarre, almost certainly illegal plot. But anyway, so President Trump has selected Jamie Coney Barrett, the favorite candidate of conservatives, to succeed Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and will try to force Senate confirmation before Election Day in a move that would significantly alter the ideological makeup of the Supreme Court for years. They would do the same thing if all of these people who are even more apoplectic and seething and fuming and hysterical and maniacal and fanatical than usual, if it was 6-3 liberal Supreme Court, my God, they would be dancing in the streets. They would be so happy. They don't care about the ideological makeup as long as it suits them. They're the biggest hypocrites on the planet. That's why Harry Reid made it easier to confirm Supreme Court justices with a 50-vote, simple 50-vote. They could have prevented Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett with a 60-vote supermajority. It was Harry Reid who altered the rules of the Senate. It was Harry Reid. Let's fix this right here. So, it was Harry Reid. Then you have Democrats cheating Bernie Sanders while at the same time elevating President Trump. And never forget the article, They Always Wanted Trump. Inside, they always wanted Trump. So to take Bush down, Jeb Bush, Clinton's team drew up a plan to pump Trump up. Shortly after her kickoff, top aides organized a strategy call whose agenda included a memo to the Democratic National Committee. Quote, this memo is intended to outline the strategy and goals a potential Hillary Clinton presidential campaign would have regarding the 2016 Republican presidential field, it read. Quote, the variety of candidates is a positive here, and many of the lesser-known can serve as a cudgel to move the more established candidates further to the right. In this scenario, we don't want to marginalize the more extreme candidates, but make them more Pied Piper candidates who actually represent the mainstream of the Republican Party, read the memo. Pied Piper candidates include, but aren't limited to, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, Ben Carson. We need to be elevating the Pied Piper candidates so they are the leaders of the pack, and tell the press to take them seriously. Democrats tell the press because the press works for them. We don't have an independent press. Okay? We don't have an independent press. We do not have an independent press. That is a myth. That's another like hilarious, amusing myth that we have an independent press. Everyone, you trust me. The day you walk in to the New York Times cafeteria or the Washington Post cafeteria with the Make America Great Again hat, your days are numbered. Your days are numbered. Okay? You're not going to be there for long. Okay? You're not going to be there for long. And you're just not going to be there for long. No, the average journalist goes to dinner parties and they drink their wine and spirits with their friends after hours, and they meet up at bars, and they meet up at dinner parties and events, and they talk about how horrible Trump is. Emily Cooper! Emily Cooper! H, I haven't seen your head turn. Wow! Emily Cooper, hello. Wow, that is fantastic. Thank you, Emily. It is a great day. Let's rejoice. Emily Cooper, thank you so very yes. Let's rejoice. The Amy Coney, and what could be a better message, Emily Cooper, than the conservative Amy Coney Barrett being on the Supreme Court? Thank you, Emily Cooper. Yes. Emily Cooper, thank you. As always. So, getting back to they elevated President Trump. Emily, thank you again. Beautiful message. Thank you. They elevated President Trump. How inept do you have to be? How incompetent do you have to be? These are the best adversaries. And I always say, if I'm judged by my political adversaries, I am a very sad and pathetic person. Only the biggest imbeciles and fools have been my political adversaries, if you can call them that. People have obsessed over me. I haven't given a you-know-what about them. And when Clinton replaces Tales from the Crypt, you will see people obsessing over me again, and I will retaliate in a peaceful, reciprocal manner. Very peaceful. Not fiery, but peaceful. They're just very peaceful. Or I will respond in a reciprocal manner that is purely through words and reason and logic. But Emily, thank you. So they elevated President Trump. And the interesting thing is, it's like you are going up against a person who Trump is the embodiment, or he's the kryptonite. He's the Democratic Party's kryptonite. Orange Grove 55. Dems know Amy Coney Barrett is a great pick. They are freaking out. Yeah, they are. Well, the thing is, Emily, thank you. Orange Grove 55, they cannot demean and disparage and denigrate and mock and insult and try to silence Amy Coney Barrett. They're not going to find 80s like, Animal House and Meatballs. They're not going to find that kind of. They're not going to be able to undermine Amy Coney Barrett. And if they do, that's going to alienate millions. Look, white women already voted for Trump last election, 53%. So it's going to undermine millions upon millions of women of all backgrounds. But millions upon millions of Catholic women are going to say, okay, this is how the Democratic Party treats anyone that they want to silence or undermine. And if they make Catholicism or her religion an issue, they're done. They're done. They are done. So Orange Grove 55, they are absolutely done. They can't. They're just done. If they try to Kavanaugh Amy Coney Barrett, it's game over for the Democratic Party. This, ladies and gentlemen, also is. This will take the wind out of the sails. This is a very demoralizing confirmation right before the election. Okay. McConnell's going to do this before the election. And all the talk about them packing the courts, nobody understands and nobody really wants that. Everyone knew the rules of the game. And hidden for time. Hey, HA, can you tell me how to apply for that $20 million? I don't know. You're gonna have to call. A certain bunch of YouTube channels. They might tell you. Hidden for time. Hidden for time. Thank you. Yeah, that's the These are the people that want to get money out of politics, but they sign $20 million venture capital deals, and then they ask for millions in fundraising. So, IDKENG, hidden for time. Thank you. And it's funny, the photo of the back. If you see her TV appearance, she seems desperate. IDKENG. I didn't see. You might be referring to a meme. I didn't see that. I haven't seen that IDKNG, but they're definitely planning something. Nothing is what it seems with Madam Secretary and what's going on. IDKENG. Biden has 9 times this month. 9 times. 9 times this month called a lid on his campaign 9 times this month. 9 times. And the man is not even campaigning. I don't know what he's doing. He's not even campaigning. IDKENG, thank you. The Bot 2007. Have you checked ballot requests? My party in state in Pennsylvania, 1,823,000 so far. D, 1,280,391 Republican, 526,706 no party. Oh, sorry. I'm not reading. Am I reading this right? Oh no, I haven't. I have none in Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's bizarre. Pennsylvania, 1,823,000 total, 1,280,000 Democrat. Well, that's why they want. I don't know what percentage of that is. Well, it's all mail-in ballot. 526,000 Republicans. So I haven't. That is obviously concerning, but also I'm almost giving Pennsylvania to Democrats already. That is, the governor has already, he's been projecting. You don't need, President Trump doesn't even need Pennsylvania. I think he has a better chance in Minnesota than he does in Pennsylvania. But I have not. Let's see. Ballots, Pennsylvania. Ballots, Pennsylvania. DOJ orders Pennsylvania County to change ballot practices after troubling findings. So, if you can give me, local officials say 9 Pennsylvania ballots were discarded. In unusual statement, feds say a handful of ballots were discarded in Pennsylvania County. So, if you could give me the Bot 2007, if you have a link, I would love to see that. The Bot 2007, thank you. I have not checked that. Obviously, that's worrying and concerning. But again, President Trump has numerous paths to victory. I don't see Democrats getting close unless they cheat, which is what they did to Bernie Sanders. And which is what they did to Bernie Sanders in 2020 as well, 2020 as well. In Iowa. The Bot 2007, thank you. If you have a link to that'd be fantastic. IDKENG, did you see the video where Biden literally said to the military? IDKENG, I didn't. Is that on GOP War Room? I don't know why I didn't, but Biden, military. I didn't. I'm looking at GOP War Room here. I didn't. Did you see the video where Biden literally said to the military, I didn't. I'd clap. I did. Hold on. Let me see here. No, I didn't. Let's see. Oh, Joe Biden to our troops. Okay. Clap for that. Oh, wow. Of course, nobody. Wow, this is interesting. So I guess he's trying to be tough and hard or whatever. I don't know. Oh, okay. I did see. That's good. I'm watching that right now. They wouldn't. They they wouldn't clap. So Biden is like, this is not happening, and then they expect this man to win. They're going to be. It's going to be 2016 is going to look IDKENG. Thank you. Oh my God. 2016 is going to look like the happiest moment the Democratic Party has had in about 10, since 2012 when they won. John Almanza. John. The only thing Dems have been right about is violence and dark days ahead. They claim that the DNC convention. Yes. John, you're right. I mean, that's the only thing they have right now. That's why they're kind of giving tacit approval. They give tacit approval to all of this. They give tacit approval. When you have CNN saying fiery but peaceful, they cannot admit that violence is, the people committing the violence are on the same ideological spectrum as they are. You're not getting Trump supporters setting police buildings ablaze. That's not happening. That's not happening. IDKENG, thank you very, very much. That's not happening. So, John, you're 100% right. I mean, that's all they have. That's all they have. They don't have they don't want Medicare for all. Okay, they've lied to millions of idealistic progressive voters for a long time. They've been lying to them. And John, you're 100% right. They don't have anything else. They're not going to implement Medicare for all. They're not going to implement a Green New Deal legislation, because then they'll definitely lose Rust Belt states. They're not going to implement or pass through the House. So they had the House for 2 years, the House of Representatives, and what have they accomplished? There's not one transformative bill. There's not one policy that you can name. Not one that they're running on. Not one. Thomas O'Connor! Is the progressive movement stronger now or in 2016? No. Thomas, thank you so very much. Thomas. John, thank you again. Thomas, I think that's a great question. I'm a former progressive. I don't even know what that word means anymore because Hillary Clinton is a progressive. I think that movement is going to pretty much dissolve. By 2024, it won't be in its current form because they keep on going from, they obsessed over Medicare. The same people who said, I'm only talking about people who said vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016, knowing that Bernie Sanders was cheated. Okay, if you did that, you paved the way for Bernie to be cheated again because you are weak and incompetent and you think that you're taking one for the team. You're taking one. It ain't for the team, though. And there is no team. The Democratic Party is not a team. It's just a tent of very unhappy factions that normally wouldn't side with one another. But because of our two-party system, they have to. See, the left is not unified in ideology or policy. They're a bunch of apoplectic, self-righteous, morally superior, in many cases, in not all cases, but in many cases, foolish imbeciles who think that they're better than everyone else, yet they lose elections, and then they blame Russia for 4 years. They cheat their own candidates. They have Debbie Wasserman Schultz forced to resign in disgrace. And, tell me what progressives have won in the past 4 years. Nothing. They have AOC, who is the biggest gift to President Trump you could ever give. You can't give Trump a bigger present than AOC and all the loudest progressive voices on the left. I mean, it's like I don't even know if the word's progressive, maybe far left. Every single police building in Seattle or Minneapolis or Portland that is set ablaze, that gives President Trump, first of all, it's a horrific. Arson is like the most despicable, horrific criminal act. But every single time you see violence, it only helps President Trump. You're talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of voters who wouldn't have ordinarily voted for President Trump, who are voting for President Trump because the left is so incompetent. So they've given up. They've waved their hands in the air and says, we've given up. So if you want to just dismantle cities before our very eyes, then they say, oh, well, look at this country where it's heading. It's like, no, you think you benefit politically by seeing leftists, left-leaning people set police buildings and other buildings and restaurants and, they think they benefit from this unrest. The Democratic Party doesn't benefit. It's actually losing support throughout the country. So I don't see, at a certain point you have to say, okay, if you are a progressive YouTuber, what have you done? I'm not talking about the people who either voted for Jill Stein or said don't vote for Clinton. I'm talking about the people who said vote for Clinton in 2016, knowing that Bernie Sanders was cheated, and then harped on Medicare for all for 4 years. What have you done to help further any progressive cause except try to poke fun and insult and marginalize anyone you disagree with? Progressives have received zero from the Democratic Party. They have not influenced the Democratic Party at all. And you have AOC, whose biggest claim to fame is kicking Amazon out of New York City. That's 100,000 direct and indirect jobs, by one estimate. Then you have no Medicare for all bill. You have no Green New Deal legislation. I thought the world was going to end in 11 years. You have a resolution that they didn't even vote on because they're so cowardly they couldn't even vote on, because then the Rust Belt and the Midwest would take them seriously and they'd lose those states. So Mitch McConnell wanted to vote on the Green New Deal resolution, and they didn't want to. So Thomas O'Connor, then they want universal basic income. So check this out. These are the geniuses on the left. All noble policies, but not feasible all at once, or maybe individually not feasible. They say, well, we have money for military actions. Like, yeah, you voted for it, you fools. The Lincoln Project is on your side. Bernie Sanders, the Medicare for all people are voting alongside Max Boot and Bill Kristol. So that should tell you where the left is. No Medicare for all bill, but they want Medicare for all. They want universal basic income. They want abolishing student debt. And what else? Wait, then Medicare for all, Green New Deal, Medicare for all, Green New Deal, universal basic income, and abolishing all student debt. And they've yet to explain how you fit that in the budget. How do you fit that in the budget? Because a quarter of the federal budget right now is health care, Medicare, and other government programs for 75 million people. How do you go from 75 million to 320 million people when you have only 50-something% of Americans who pay taxes? Then they want universal basic income, and then they want student debt, and then they want student debt. I can kind of understand, but But all of these are noble, but they're not feasible. And Democrats haven't passed any of these bills in the House. It's like, and they don't fight. Like God forbid they bring up the server issue or the fact that Trump was set up and framed. If they did, that would help their cause. Thomas O'Connor, thank you so very, very much. IDKENG, thank you. Let me explain to you what is the purpose of the Bail Project. You're creating an army ready for that's the whole. That is, I think that what they tried to do, what the Democrats try to do, IDKENG, is they always try to seem that they always try to pretend that they're part of a cause when they're really not. So whenever you have like Kamala Harris or Biden or Clinton or Schumer or any of the establishment Democrats focusing on a cause, I mean, you could be right. But I think that what they're trying to do is show solidarity with the far left, and then while at the same time removing themselves from any culpability of all the horrible things taking place. Like, you notice how media doesn't say, oh, it's because of these organizations that law enforcement officials have been targeted. Notice how they don't say that, but when something horrible happens, oh my God, it's Trump's words. It's Trump's rhetoric. It's Trump's words. He incites violence. But they don't ever incite violence, and there's more violence on their end than on any than the opposite end of the political spectrum. A lot more violence. I mean, Minneapolis asked for Minnesota asked for $500 million, not in venture capital, but in federal aid. Jasher. You think the reason Dems... Thank you, IDKENG, as always. Thank you, IDKENG. Thank you. Jasher, do you think the reasons Dems overreacted to... used to get mail-in ballots? They could have... Also, no problem with Catholics, so taking it will hard sell. I think that their reaction, especially when they allowed their primaries to go ahead... Their reaction partly was to hurt President Trump. A lot of what's taking place is to hurt President Trump. I don't think they care about human lives. I don't think the Democratic Party cares about human lives. I don't think that's not part of their political calculus. Their political calculus is just simple the attainment of political power and influence. That's it. That's it. If they cared about human lives, they wouldn't be saying things like fiery but peaceful. They would actually cover the property damage and the lives lost. But if it's David Dorn or Brunel Trammell or you have other Trump supporters losing their lives, they don't really cover that. If it's Jussie Smollett, oh my God, they cover it, and then they don't cover the fact that was a hoax. Jasher, thank you. Thank you, Jasher, as always. Corn Pop was a bad dude. Say my name. Trump has lost zero of his support from 2016 and gained millions of never-Trump voters, as well as tens of thousands of libertarians. I agree with you. I don't think any libertarian... I don't think any... I don't think that any libertarian's going to vote for anyone but President Trump. I don't think that's going to take place. I think that I think you're 100% right. Corn Pop was a bad dude. I don't think that... I think President Trump's going to easily... It'll be Clinton at the end of the day, but like if they're so inept and it's Biden... Because it looks like Biden's going to be at the debates, I think. Or maybe a hologram of Biden. Who knows? Maybe an animatronic, like you see those Disneyland, like the animatronic pirates in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know what. I don't know how, I don't know when, but they ain't going with Tales from the Crypt. the whole time. I agree with you. I don't think he's lost any support. It's the Democrats who've lost support. That's why I would love to see to one of the wonderful super chat if there's a link to the Pennsylvania, because that would be bizarre. That massive disparity. I don't even know if I read the super chat correctly, but Mr. Trump plans to announce on Saturday that she is his choice, according to. But he is not known to have interviewed any other candidates, and came away from 2 days of meetings with Judge Barrett this week, impressed with a jurist he was told would be a female Antonin Scalia. Yes! Referring to the justice she once clerked for. On Friday night, Judge Barrett was photographed getting out of her car outside of her home in South Bend, Indiana. She needs, and I say this with like the utmost care for her and her health and her well-being, because the left is so unhinged. She should have security with her at all times. At all times. At all times. Like, she needs to have protection with her at all times. And I say that with, like, all due respect. Emily Cooper! I recommend the essay, Liberals by Gary Saul Morrison, on First Things. So many parallels between Russia before the revolution and now. I will look that up. Right now. Emily Cooper, thank you. I'm going to look that up right now. I will read that. Thank you, Emily. Bringing up the French Revolution, the last paragraph. Awesome. You know, a professor at Northwestern University. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will definitely check that out. Emily Cooper, thank you. Emily Cooper, thank you. IDKENG! All this events from Russia, the virus, even the fires in California, not random events. IDKENG, I mean, I'll just say that some could be random, some could be not so random. I'll just say that. IDKENG, thank you very, very much. Thank you. Some could be random, some could be not so random. Crescent! I did. It's horrible news. Absolutely horrible news. But thank God he says he's doing fine. Says he's doing fine, so thank God. 85 years old. Yeah, terrible. Thank God he survived. He's doing all right. I'm hoping he's doing okay. But yeah, I mean, they don't have anything. They don't have anything to offer anyone except venom, vitriol, unhappiness. They don't have anything to offer anyone. So, Harry, hello, Harry. I hope all is well. Hello, Harry. Thank you. Thank you. I haven't said it was her, but she is outstanding, Mr. Trump told reporters who asked about Judge Barrett's imminent nomination. The president's political advisors hope the selection will energize his conservative political base in the thick of an election campaign in which he has for months been trailing former... Okay, he's not trailing Biden. He's not trailing... Biden's trailing himself. When Biden speaks and walks, he's actually trailing himself. I don't know how, but he's doing that. But could also rouse liberal voters afraid that her confirmation could spell the end of... It's not going to be the end of Roe v. Wade. Just like when Democrats say, we're not trying to end the Second Amendment. Notice how their fears regarding Roe v. Wade are the same fears that conservatives have about the Second Amendment. So their whole thing is, well, you're making it more difficult. And then that's the Second Amendment. That's the conservatives say, well, you're making it more difficult. The decision legalizing, the nomination will kick off an extraordinary scramble by Senate Republicans. It won't be extraordinary. 17? Well, over 20 have been confirmed before 40 days or 42 days. Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself was confirmed, within less than a month and a half. While other justices have been approved in presidential election years, none have been voted on after July. So what? 4 years ago, Senate Republicans refused to even consider. Yeah, they keep on bringing Merrick Garland up. It's like you didn't have the Senate, number one. Number two, you keep bringing up Merrick Garland. That actually also shows you to be hypocrites because they didn't care about an election year. And they certainly didn't care about the ideological... They would have had... I think they would have had... let's see... Would they have had the majority? They never would have cared. They never would have cared about a 6-3 liberal majority. So, in picking Judge Barrett, Mr. Trump could hardly have found a more polar opposite to Ginsburg, a pioneering champion of... So they're not going to overturn Roe v. Wade. And anything that happens from this Supreme Court will be directly the result of the treachery of the Democratic Party. It's not the voters' fault. It's the political party. They make hundreds of millions of dollars in donations every year. And their only goal was to win an election. They couldn't do that. Because they cheated their own candidate, the candidate they had who had the best chance of winning. And I do believe that in 2016, Bernie Sanders would have won. In an alternate universe where media wasn't totally against him, and Democrats weren't completely disingenuous, and Democrats didn't cheat. Crescent! But thank God, President Trump. Crescent! After President Trump responded to his post, some of the posts by deeply anti-Trump are very vicious. Why such cruelty? How does that help anyone? Because that's the only thing they have. They're apoplectic, seething, fuming, hysterical, maniacal, fanatical zealotry. That's the only thing they have. That is the only thing they have. That's part of who they are. They think that they're fighting for justice. They think that they're fanatics. It's not about... They run on emotion. They don't run on logic. That's why they think they're going up against the 1930s and 1940s Germans. Jay! Trump did a rally in Virginia. Is Virginia in play? I don't know if Virginia's in play. I think Minnesota. I think Minnesota's in play. Jay, thank you. Jasher! Just so you know, YouTube has the worst filters. Most of the time, I have to type questions 2 to 4 times because they get blocked. Jasher, thank you. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that a lot. Especially, I think the past couple of months. It's actually the past couple of months. The censorship or the algorithm has clamped down even further. Thank you, Jasher. I appreciate that. Jasher, thank you. Robert Mahaney. Thank you, Robert. Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you. These are fantastic super chat discussions and questions tonight. Thank you. Crescent, it's all they have. Wally Pop. If a yeast infection, Nancy Pelosi. I just had to say that. Wally Pop, thank you so very much. Wally Pop, you're awesome. Thank you, Wally Pop. Yes. I always Nancy Pelosi speaks like Katharine Hepburn. Whenever she is, today she's like, honestly, why should Trump even have a debate with, why should Biden even have a debate with Trump? So, it's like, this is the thing, they cheated Bernie Sanders, they lost the election, and then Pelosi and Schumer become the face of the Democratic Party, and then they utilize AOC here and there to kind of say, see, look, progressives, we're really going to give you some political power. And then when push comes to shove, Pelosi says, yeah, there are like maybe 2 or 3 of them. Something like you couldn't fit all the progressives in a phone booth or something like that. I forgot exactly what she said. But it's like everything is public relations. That's what the Bail Project is about also. Everything is public relations. Ladies and gentlemen, when she's confirmed, Wally Pop, thank you very, very, very much, Wally Pop. Alex, please wink at me. Alex, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't know if I did, it would look so bizarre and weird that you'd probably wish that I hadn't. So I do appreciate that, though. Alex, thank you. Thank you for the thank you for the support. Alex, thank you. Alex. It would just look so bizarre that it would look just really weird with the hat and my Ushanka. It looks so weird. Alex, thank you. Thank you. This New York Times article has nothing truly horrible to say about Alex. Thank you very much again. Thank you, Alex. Thank you. This New York Times article has nothing bad to say about Amy Coney Barrett other than she's a conservative. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that that's the only negative element of this New York Times piece. If confirmed, Judge Barrett would become the 115th justice in the nation's history and the 5th woman ever to serve on the Supreme Court. At 48, she would be the youngest member of the current court, as well as its 6th Catholic. And she would become Mr. Trump's 3rd appointee on the court, more than any other president has installed in a first term since Richard M. Nixon had 4, joining Justices Neil M. Gorsuch and Brett M. Kavanaugh. Judge Barrett graduated from Notre Dame Law School and later joined the faculty. She clerked for Justice Scalia and shares his constitutional views. She is described as a textualist who interprets the law based on its plain words rather than seeking to understand the legislative purpose, and an originalist who applies the Constitution as it was understood by those who drafted and ratified it. Alex, thank you. Crescent. Tim Pool retweeted a video made by a pro-Trump gentleman, Gary Lamb, and President Trump responded to this. Message to Tim Pool is the video title. Okay, let's see. I wonder what that's about. Here you have, like, the left is like, oh, okay. I'm reading it. My message to Trump supporter Gary Lamb and Donald Trump. Thank you. Nice. Why didn't I watch? I didn't see this for some reason. Nice. I have to check that out. And then you have, like, people like, Tim Pool's grift exposed. It's a grift. This is something the left doesn't understand. There's no, okay, the grift is the left. Like, the grift, the $20 million in venture capital, pretending you're going to take on the Democratic Party, the money you derive, that you earn from yelling Medicare for all while at the same time just voting Democrat no matter what, that's the grift. The apoplectic, disingenuous lies and dishonesty regarding Trump and his words and how it incites violence while you ignore violence, that is the grift. That is the deceitful, the $200 million stolen from voters in 2016, that's the grift. There is no grift from going from the left to becoming a supporter of President Trump. That's not the most lucrative thing in the world. The most lucrative thing in the world is pretending that you dislike Trump because he's such a horrible person. That's the grift. Leftists, they can't even insult Tim Pool. You couldn't find a more honest, like, the man is an honest, good human being. You couldn't find a more honest, straightforward human being. He literally tells you everything that there is no pretext to Tim Pool. He tells you exactly how he feels, and he's like the most, like, fair and balanced and honest person. The grift is the people who pretend to dislike Trump while embracing Clinton or while embracing Biden, or pretending to dislike Biden when you had no problem with Clinton and you'll eventually vote Democrat anyway. That's the grift. You couldn't find the biggest grifters are on the left. Believe me, there's no grifting as a Trump supporter. When I became a Trump supporter, I went out on a limb. And then people said, oh, well, he's doing it because his channel is full of Trump supporters. Why would I have needed to do that if my channel was already full of Trump supporters? The grift would have been saying that Trump is a bad human being because of his words. That would have been so much more lucrative than becoming a Trump supporter. Or saying that he worked with Russia, knowing very well there was no evidence. That's the lie. That's the deceitful way of making money. When you pretend that when you don't like President Trump, but you're okay with Hillary Clinton and the super predator comment and everything else, and you just forget about President Obama destroying Libya, that's the grift. It's unbelievable. The Bot 2007, YouTube won't let me send links over the super chat. The Bot 2007, could you email me at contactgoodman78@gmail.com. Contactgoodman78@gmail.com. Crescent, thank you. The Bot 2007, I would appreciate that. Yeah, and if you want to be part of a newsletter, ladies and gentlemen, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. Thank you, the Bot 2007. Crescent, thank you. I got to check that out. Hunter's Moon, they will physically block the Senate. You know what? They probably will, but it still won't work. Lyle Bud, pro-life justice, please. Well, that's Amy Coney Barrett will be one. Although, you know what? She has stated she's not going to touch Roe v. Wade. So, Lyle Bud, thank you, Lyle. I hope all is well. Lyle. Thank you. Bogdano Papai. I'm from the greater Seattle area. How can they justify hiring a former for $150 a year to offer alternatives to policing? Well, they're reducing police spending. It's surreal. They live, Bogdano Papai, thank you. They live in their own reality. They have to create their own world. It is a world Bogdano Papai, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I think that you told me once how to pronounce it. I think I forgot, but I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. They want to be morally superior. They don't care about reality. The life of a person on the left is devoted to one thing and one thing only. Not truth, not justice, not rational thought, not logic, not reason. The feeling of being the allure of feeling morally superior, not being morally superior, because they're not morally superior. Like when AOC said, people focus too much on being factually right as opposed to morally right. You cannot be morally right if you're not factually right. That's part of morality. And then when they say, well, Trump is so dishonest. No, they're dishonest. They're the ones who are always lying. They lie infinitely more. The Trump lies about like crowd size and they go like completely hysterical. And then they confuse a rebuttal with a lie. It's like, no, just because you have a difference of opinion from Trump, like, oh, well, there won't be any problems with mail-in ballots. And if President Trump says, yeah, it's going to lead to fraud, that is not a lie. That is a sentiment based on the fact that a great many examples in U.S. history, the past 10 years or so, you have articles from Slate, the New York Times, the Miami Herald, all these articles where mail-in ballots were forged. You had people picking them up in Florida that were political operatives. So, yeah, there's a lot that could go wrong. Plus, Democrats are cheaters. They cheated Bernie Sanders, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign in disgrace. But Bogdano Babai, their whole thing is they only care about the feeling of moral superiority. The feeling of moral superiority. Not actually being morally superior. And so that's why you have these people who are engaging in violence and mayhem, because they're in their warped minds, they want others to experience. The way the left works is like, oh, you have to experience unhappiness because other people are unhappy, like immigrants and other people. It's like, well, they're conflating a whole bunch of issues, and then they're acting in an irrational manner to only feel good about themselves. It's nothing to do with logic or reason or morality, what's right or wrong. You're not helping anyone by committing a criminal act or arson or intimidating others. You're only actually helping your political side. But that's Bogdano Babai. That's what it is. They are obviously have never been victims, nor have they cared about possibly being the victim of a violent crime. So to them, a social worker would stop a robbery. So they live in this world like that doesn't exist. Corn Pop was a bad dude. Who drinks more whiskey? Says Nancy. VA Party is registered 300. Republican Party has registered 300,000 new voters. Thank you. Corn Pop was a bad dude. Yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting. it's going to be interesting how the disparity between, because you're not going to find, like, generally there's not that wide of a disparity. There wasn't in 2016 between the mail-in ballots between Trump and Clinton. So you won't find, if you find like a huge disparity, the election is definitely going to be contested by President Trump, and it should be. Corn Pop is a bad dude. Thank you very, very much. Hunter's Moon! The word trimester is in the Constitution. Hunter's Moon, thank you. Thank you, Hunter's Moon. Crescent. The gentleman explains how President Trump's policies helped him, and I can completely relate to Gary Lamb. Gary Lamb has his own YouTube channel. You know what? I'm going to... Let's see. Crescent, thank you. Okay, so Gary Lamb. I am going to subscribe right now, and I want everyone to subscribe to Gary Lamb's channel, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. If President Trump and Tim Pool retweeted Gary Lamb, I'm going to check him out. I just subscribed. I want everyone to subscribe to him as well. Thank you. Haha, Steelers freak. Hello. I can't do that. When you, Swanee Scotty. Good day, AJ, the deplorable Aussies. Down here, excited for a Trump win. Yes. 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 Swanee Scotty, hello. I hope all is well. Thank you for always watching. The Australian crew is strong, like very strong. Crescent, yeah, I just subscribed, and I'm gonna check that one out also. 1998 Blue Dog. Ha! 1998 Blue Dog. I think that the stars will always align towards Madam Secretary's unbridled quest for political power. 1998 Blue Dog, thank you. I think that some things in life, death, taxes, the Clintons trying to attain political influence, some things just always take place. 1998 Blue Dog, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. So, let's see. I'm trying to type in. Democrats in Pennsylvania scrambled to limit the number of naked ballots. What we know about those discarded Trump ballots in Pennsylvania. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, the September 8th. Democrats take massive absentee ballot requests. Lead in absentee ballot requests in battleground. So the request's different. So but see, that's what Democrats always do. They're very, very good at getting a whole bunch of people signed up, but then people don't vote. So 18,000 requests. Also, like, you have to ask yourself, like, who's requesting these ballots? How is just a 52%? How so? 52 to 48%. It's not a massive lead. They did the same thing in 2016. They're like, oh my God, Clinton has a massive early voting lead, and it didn't work out. So, Twitter is probably the worst thing to happen to Democrats, which will be very amusing on election night. But you're going to look, apparently they're going to be foolish enough to go with Biden versus Trump for the first debate. This is going to be a political slaughter. And they're not going to be able to, circumvent or survive politically. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. First of all, you have cities being torn apart in real time. That helps President Trump. You have everyone, like Joe Rogan has said it best. He actually had a great show today or yesterday. I forgot exactly when, but he talked about how people forget. People try to pretend, and there are some hilarious, fantastic left-leaning YouTubers who are pretending that Joe Biden doesn't have major issues pertaining to being one fry short of a Happy Meal. Like, it's either before the first debate or like it's only in 4 or 5 days. Or after the first debate, there's going to be a moment where they say, okay, we need Madam Secretary to save us from Trumpy. And then what's going to hit the fan. Democrats only care about emotion. They don't have policies like Trump. Like, you can define President Trump with short phrases or words when it comes to policies. Reversing U.S. foreign policy, no regime change, bringing home soldiers, wall, record low unemployment, good economy. Like, these are things to vote for. Democrats, they are not going to vote for Medicare for all. Because that is a lie perpetrated by people who run the Democratic Party to deceive their most idealistic voters. Because the Democrats run off of fear and intimidation and bullying, first among themselves. Then they try to do it to Trump, and he fights back, and they can't stand it. See, what they did was they bullied and completely turned Bernie Sanders into a tool of their political party. So, like, he'll, like, email, maybe his staff or whatever, tweeted out the other day, end student debt. Well, it's like, did you pass legislation? And if you did, how come nobody's really talking about it? Maybe the Democrats did. I don't think they did. They're not really talking about it. Did they? House bill to cancel $10,000 in private student debt. Well, that's not canceling all debt. It's like, this is why the left, especially the progressive movement, whatever it is going to dissolve very soon into like this cauldron of unhappiness and contempt for Democrats, not so much Trump. You have a federal budget of around, $4 trillion, over $4 trillion. Every year, federal budget, $4 trillion. So federal budget is over $4 trillion. $4.79 trillion, almost $5 trillion. Okay. Over like $1.4 trillion around there is Medicare and government programs to fund healthcare for 75 million, around 75 million people. How do you go to from 75 million or so to 320 million Americans forever? How do you do that? They're like, well, every other industrialized nation, blah, 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 blah. Yes, they have less people. Why is that so difficult to understand? How do you go? Let's say I'm wrong. Let's say it's very feasible. Why hasn't the House passed a bill? And don't say because the Senate would block it, because that's not rational. So what? Transformative, liberal, progressive legislation. So what? The point is to show your voters you're serious. So why would you not pass a Medicare for all? Where's that Medicare for all bill? Where's that? And then they say, well, it's going to save money. It's like, that's the Mercatus study doesn't say that, but they would say you have to double to triple tax collection, and only 50-something% of Americans pay income tax. Then they say, well, within the federal budget, not only are we going to fit Medicare for all, but universal basic income. Okay, for all 320 million Americans? Also, okay, how are you going to fit that within the federal budget? Then abolishing all student debt. Okay, well, how are you going to fit that within the federal budget? Well, you pay for military interventions. You're like, yeah, I know. Unfortunately, we borrowed the money. But how are you going to borrow the money for all of that? Then they want a Green New Deal legislation, which would impose a whole lot of restrictions on industry within a relatively short time frame. How is that going to help the revenue stream to the government? And would that hurt the economy? So it's like these questions they don't have any answers for. And then they yell and they scream if you don't agree 100%. I'm coming from the left, I'm not against Medicare for all. I just don't think it's feasible. I think it's a noble thing. Cali boy! Once the Dems vote for Joe, they will officially become deplorables. They'll officially become deplorable, and they'll officially become... That's what they're relying on. Cali boy, thank you. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you. That's what they're relying on. That's what they want. So, this, I guess, getting back to there's not a progressive pundit out there who has looked at the federal budget and says, okay, within the $4.79 trillion, like AOC hasn't done this, so there's not a progressive politician. Here is a federal budget of $4.79 trillion. Within that federal budget, we will fit Medicare for all, Green New Deal, UBI, and abolishing student debt. And this is how we do it. You will never get that from anyone on the left. And Andrew Yang only talked about UBI. He didn't talk about all the other policies. So I believe and then that was a value-added tax. So it's like you don't. They're also like it's going to be free healthcare for everybody. It's not free. You're going to increase taxes. It's not free. Well, then you wouldn't have to pay your premium. Not everyone has the same premium, genius. Not everyone has a single 20-year-old is going to be different than a family of 4. Not everybody pays, and the taxes are going to be. Not everyone pays the same amount of taxes. So you're not talking about apples and apples. You're not assured of the same quality health care or the current insurance or health care that they get from the health insurance company. So And it's like, they're like, well, the government would make it more efficient. Well, when has the government made anything more efficient? When have you said, wow, this is truly efficient? They say, well, Medicare. Well, Medicare is only for 75 million people, and there's still issues. Or like less than 75 million. How do you keep the quality of healthcare and make it more efficient going from 75 to 320 million? They couldn't even roll out the Affordable Care Act without major problems with the website and then the doctors and then a whole bunch of things. And that was not Medicare for all. So, I mean, these are questions that need to be answered, but they're not answered in a logical or rational manner. It's always this apoplectic kind of like, oh my God, Anthony Andrea. What did you think of the new document? Enough traction to produce results on homie. Handy, Andy. I think that it's definitely moving in the right direction, and I think that they are close to finding the intent needed to kind of to get a lot of people on 18 U.S. Code 371, which is a statute for people who conspire against the United States government, which is what Coney and McCabe did. I was published in the Federalist talking about that. Because, Anthony, their whole thing is, well, you know, we were just trying to protect national security. It's like, no, that's not national security. It's not national security. They're like, well, you know, it's national security. You know, the Russians hacked the DNC. It's like, this is what's so great. Oh, by the way, the Raiders are going all the way this year. They look fantastic. Fantastic. They look fantastic. Derek Carr is amazing. Josh Jacobs is amazing. Love Josh Jacobs. Best running back in the NFL. Best running back in the NFL. Love Josh Jacobs. Darren Waller also is amazing. A great, amazing tight end. He's going to have a Gronkowski type season. He's like 6'6", great hands. He's fast, difficult to tackle. He's like Gronkowski. He ran a 4.46 40. My God. And he's 6'6", like, what, 240, 230? So, they have so many weapons. Gruden is such a fantastic coach. The defense steps up. Spacefish, hello. So, you watch. The Raiders. This is not the Raiders of the past, recent years. This is the Raiders of old. This team is an amazing. You watch. They're going to go all the way this year. You watch. They look amazing. It's too bad there are no people in the stands. But, ladies and gentlemen, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just spend the next 5 minutes or so. Let's see. And this is the thing. It's like you go to Real Clear Politics. You go to Real Clear Politics, and let's see. You go to Real Clear Politics, and the same thing that happened last election is happening this election, and it's like it's Biden up by 6.7 nationally. Okay. You had Biden up by 10 a couple weeks back. You had Biden up by over 10 points, a little bit further than that. You had Biden up by 12 points, 11 points. The whole thing, first of all, they don't cover Biden. Media is like deliberately not covering Biden. Secondly, Madam Secretary is going to save the Democrats and then lose again. But then she'll say, well, you know what? I should be given a medal for, what I've done for you. June 22nd, he was up by 10. Now it are like 11. Now it's only 6.7, but like the polls now are like Rasmussen, Biden up 1, Emerson, the latest one, Emerson, Biden up 4. The whole thing is complete and utter nonsense anyway. If you didn't have Biden up by like 9, so you have Biden up by 1 and then Biden up by 10 and 9 points. Like, he's not up by 10 points. On what planet? On what planet is this man? They don't even cover him. He doesn't even campaign. He puts a lid on his campaign. Everyone knows he's one fry short of a Happy Meal. And Clinton's going to take over anyway. So it's 6.7 now. You think he's going to increase because of his fantastic debate performance? They're going to say he won, and then they're going to, oh my God, the polls are going to show. They're going to say he won because he was breathing, and God bless him. I want him to breathe. But other than that, it's like the whole thing's a bunch of nonsense. All right, let's see here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to look here at they're pretty much done. I just want to see what they're up to on social media. They're kind of hilarious. They're like, you know what? We're really going to be really upset when Trump picks his third Supreme Court justice. It's like, well, what are you going to do? You're not going to do anything. What can you do? What can you do? What can you possibly do, Democrats, that you haven't already done? You've already torn apart cities. So now what are you going to do? What kind of wonderful protests are you going to do now? Oh, then they're going to try to say she's a member of a religious group. That's a really horrible religious group, and that's going to backfire on Democrats also. If by chance it's Barbara Lagoa, that would be amazing too. Really amazing. Cali boy. We seek revenge, Patriot Sunday. I'm still recovering from the snow 2001. Yeah, it was a patriotic time in the country. Raiders Nation, baby. Cali boy! Cali boy! Raiders Nation. I'm telling you, Cali boy, we're going all the way this year. I got my Raiders Warm Ushanka hat. I'm telling you, this team is a special team. And you have Brady away from the Patriots. They're still a good team, but Cam Newton's very good, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. You take Brady away from the Patriots, it's not the same. Chiefs are going to be a tiny bit of a problem, but I don't think they'll be. I think that the Raiders are ready this year. They have everything they need. So, Cali boy, thank you so very much. Thank you. Bogdano Papai. Speaking of polls, back in high school, I worked for Gallup in Lincoln, Nebraska. Long story short, depending on who is paying for the poll, questions and follow-up questions are tailored, yes, to their goals. Yes, Bogdana Papai, thank you. There's a fantastic book written on that. I forgot. I actually own it, but a while back, talking about how the polls try to. And Cali boy, thank you. Go Raiders. Bogdana Papai, thank you. It is a fantastic book talking about how polls are public relations ploys. They don't reflect reality. They try to shape reality. And I agree with you. It's a bunch of public relations nonsense. They try to shape public opinion. That's the thing. They did this in the early 2000s, the Bush administration. It's a whole bunch of manufactured opinions. These are public relations ploys. The polls do not reflect reality. They try to shape reality. Bogdana Papai, thank you. Thank you for that. Wally Pop, new Biden slogan. Wally Pop. Ebenezer Adams. After Trump and Ginsburg watched their last shred of sanity. Yeah. Incinerate Clarence Thomas, which she plans on doing. Wow. Well, that'll be next. That will be after the election, and you watch. I agree with you, Ebenezer Adams. I agree with you. They're gonna completely implode because they'll be completely powerless, as always. Democrats are very good at pretending they have a tremendous amount of political influence. Then when it comes to the Senate or the election or getting Medicare for all passed through the House, they have zero political power. This is the thing. Their politics is based on deception. They deceive their own voters first, then they try to deceive the country. Ebenezer, thank you. Thank you, Ebenezer. Thank you. Crescent, yeah, we've had a couple collaborations. I've been on his channel. He's been on my channel. Styx is awesome. I watch Tim Pool, Styx, a whole bunch of Anthony Bryan Logan, Kevin's Corner, Black Conservative Patriot is amazing, absolutely amazing. I watch a bunch of YouTubers that are just amazing. Yeah, I would love that. Thank you, Crescent. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Crescent. As always, Crescent, thank you. Greatly, greatly appreciated. First, last, hello. Never gets tired. Never gets tired, first, last. It never gets tired of winning. Or I never get, it never gets tired to always win. Which, I mean, here's the thing. People, it's Christmas come early. Do you understand? It's Christmas come early. Winning, 3 Supreme Court justices is basically an election victory. Then he gets the election victory. They're not going to win. There's zero enthusiasm. I was reading one article the other day saying, oh yeah, Biden needs President Obama's level of enthusiasm. What? President Obama had unprecedented levels of enthusiasm. Rightfully so. The first black president in American history. Okay, he ended up destroying Libya and doing a whole bunch of other things that he didn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. But I mean, to accomplish what he accomplished is unbelievably profound and was an amazing moment in U.S. history. And that was at that point, it was the most euphoric moment, one of the most amazing special moments in U.S. history, just the significance. And then you have Tales from the Crypt, that the man is, does he have a constituent of exhumed bodies that are going to be happy? I don't know. Cadavers? The first cadavers president? Biden, there's zero enthusiasm. He's like Punxsutawney Phil. He sees his shadow, goes back into the lid, goes back into the basement. There's zero enthusiasm for Biden, so I don't get it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. To my super chat, God bless. Thank you so very much, everyone. People, it's happening. It's happening, people. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you tomorrow. Be here at 9 p.m. tomorrow evening. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you very much. And very special day tomorrow. He officially announces. If it's Barbara Lagoa, oh my God, I'll be even happier, to tell you the truth, because she's amazing as well. But Amy Coney Barrett is awesome. And she will know how to handle the despicable manner in which Democrats will eventually treat her. Give me your thoughts below. This is a huge election victory before the election. Democrats have only themselves to blame. Shouldn't have cheated Bernie Sanders. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so very much, everyone. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow. If you want to be part of a newsletter, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. Thank you.